Después de este video que acabamos de ver y después de la magistral intervención de nuestra ministra, nosotros queremos contarles que así damos por terminado el acto inaugural del Foro Abierto de Ciencias de América Latina y el Caribe, CILAC 2024. Queremos extenderles una invitación a consultar la agenda para que participen activamente con sus propuestas, el conocimiento que trajeron para compartir y también a reflexionar para posicionar a esta región como líder en materia de ciencia, tecnología e innovación. Y eso que sea también una invitación a avanzar juntos hacia la democratización del conocimiento a través del acceso abierto a la información científica y la participación ciudadana en la ciencia. De esta misma manera, nosotros queremos y esperamos con la mano en el corazón que disfruten de nuestra querida isla de San Andrés y de este mar que, por si ustedes no lo sabían, les voy a contar. El mar de nosotros es conocido como el mar de los 7 colores. Y en los días que van a estar aquí van a poder experimentar eso. Desde ya, nosotros somos epicentro de la revolución científica de América Latina y del Caribe. En ese momento yo me voy a despedir, voy a darle la bienvenida a mi compañera Salwa Jackson, quien nos va a acompañar en la segunda parte de la mañana. Muchas gracias por venir y muchas gracias por estar aquí.
Gracias, Katy. Gracias. It's a complete honor as an islander and as a woman from this archipelago to have all of these important people here in our archipelago, people that take the decision and people that will talk about these matters that are very important, especially for us here in this archipelago, which is a biosphere reserve. Les damos las gracias y de verdad que nos eriza la piel a los isleños el saber que somos parte de este importante momento histórico en donde tenemos aquí en este auditorio a personas que toman decisiones, a personas que hablan acerca de la ciencia y de la forma en que podemos democratizar toda esta investigación, todos los análisis, todo lo que atañe a la ciencia, la tecnología, la innovación y toda esta revolución que puede llegar hacia las comunidades, hacia las personas y se baje, como decía mi compañera Katy, de las altas esferas, que llegue más al pueblo. Muchas gracias por estar aquí, muchas gracias por escoger a San Andrés como este epicentro. En este momento, para avanzar en la agenda, bueno, también les informo que en la parte de afuera hay un servicio de refrigerio. Si desean, pueden salir y ir agarrando sus refrigerios. Para avanzar, tenemos inicio al espacio del plenario Keynote, Decennia de la Ciencia por el Desarrollo Sostenible. If there are people that do not understand Spanish and you need the translation, there are the elements that you can find outside. They will be delivering them for the simultaneous translation. Iniciaremos con una proyección de un video para que nos vayamos adentrando más a lo que es este tema del plenario Keynote.
If there's one species that's used to challenges, it's humankind. Throughout history, we have defied the impossible to make sure we and our loved ones have a safe place to rest and all the necessary conditions to thrive. Why would it be different now? As we, human beings, are facing the biggest challenge of all time. Our time is running out. In 2024, UNESCO calls on humanity to embark on a 10-year journey, harnessing the transformative power of science to tackle global challenges such as the SDGs, the Paris Agreement, and the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. The goal is to better inform the action of decision makers, boost the trust in science among citizens, and strengthen the collaboration between experts under the concept of open science. Join us in the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development, fostering science for all.
Este es el decenio de la ciencia y no queremos, como la región de Latinoamérica, quedarnos atrás y perdernos y quedar atrás en toda esta revolución. Ahora tendremos las intervenciones de la directora general adjunta de Ciencias Naturales de la UNESCO, la señora, también tendremos presente la delegada permanente del Reino de los Países Bajos ante la UNESCO. Entonces le damos la bienvenida a Lidia Brito y también a Monique Van Dalen. Adelante, sí. Gracias.
Muchas gracias y perdón, pero voy a hablar inglés porque mi video está en inglés y es un poquito más fácil, pero bien, muchas gracias de nuevo por la posibilidad de estar acá. Así que voy a pedir mi presentación y as the video finished, it says Science for All. So basically the theme of our decade is how can we make sure that really the sciences we do, it's really for everyone. And based on the right to science, as was mentioned by Her Excellency the Minister, this decision of creating the Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development was taken by the UN General Assembly last year in September. And for us, it's really a show that although we still have difficulties to bring science for decision making, there is an international consensus that if we don't bring scientific knowledge and all knowledge systems to address the global challenges, humanity will not have a chance. So it's very important to recognize that, and if we read the UN Pact of the Future, you will see again how center science is there. And for the first time, the UN Security Council put forward a resolution related science to peace. So it's really an international movement that we, as scientific community, as leaders of science and technology at national and regional and international level, and business related to scientific development and technology, is our responsibility indeed to use this opportunity to foster science for all. And really the reason why this movement towards science at the center of sustainable development is because of the type of challenges we are facing today. And these challenges are absolutely synergetic among themselves, what make a vicious cycle that really creates a division between what science and scientific research is saying to really what decision makers at the national or international level are doing. And one, of course, is this proliferation of misinformation and disinformation. It's a phenomenon that today is really one of the biggest threats to sustainable development and to the use of knowledge for sustainable development. Clearly, we also have not enough incentives and support to really produce the knowledge we need for sustainable development, what we call actionable knowledge. And growing inequalities. And we are going to see this if we don't take actions now in order to reduce the gaps among the different scientific communities. Furthermore, also we are hindering our knowledge base because we are not investing enough in basic sciences. And if we don't do so, we know that the body of fundamental knowledge is going to reduce. And therefore, our capacity to interpret the world in a different way, our capacity to bring solutions to the new challenges and old challenges is going to be reduced. And I would say even the development of technology is very much based on fundamental research. And clearly, we have already started the discussion in the opening, but how can we make sure that we really strengthen the interface between science, policy, and society? We also know that we work in silos, and Her Excellency, the Minister, mentioned not only the importance of transdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity science, but also recognizing other knowledge systems, including knowledge systems that are related to indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, and Afro-descendant knowledge of communities. Yeah. Finally, is this disconnection with society. And we can think that science is transformative if science is not for all. And if there is a disconnect of research and what communities are needing and doing without having their space in co-creation scientific knowledge. And that's why when we, as UNESCO, as the Secretariat of the Decade, start talking to partners, what kind of vision and mission we need to have for this decade, because it's a 10-year opportunity to change things. And the first thing that really came out with this idea that we need the sciences and the science culture in order to develop sustainably everywhere in the world. So it's not only to have the science, but also the culture of sciences in order to be able to tap on that knowledge to make the choices that we need for sustainable development. And also, as a mission, how can we make sure that everybody is involved? That this decade is not for one or the other. It's really a joint co-creation, co-production of knowledge, of culture of knowledge, of actionable knowledge to really transform together the world we live. So based on that, we defined two major objectives that we hope together we can achieve in 10 years. One is how can we make sure that we continue to advance scientific knowledge, but by enhancing our better understanding of nature and humanity, and this interplay among themselves to generate really knowledge that can help us to progress on the achievements of the SDGs of sustainable development. And how can we build a robust science culture in which everyone has the right to participate? So the right to science is not only the right to benefit from the scientific knowledge, but it's also the right to co-produce, to co-design the research agenda. And that means, of course, bringing everyone at the different levels of the process, the scientific process. So we defined 5 outcomes, and one clearly is very much related to science literacy, so that you can build the culture of science that we talked before. Clearly also, how can we make sure that we have science that respond to the challenges of sustainable development? So here we are talking about applied science. We are saying, how can we have knowledge that allows us, for example, to manage better the ecosystems that are under threat and vulnerable to climate change, such as in Sant Andrés, or under the pressure of economical development, and etc. So how can we do more to understand the water cycle and the changes that are occurring in the cycle, so that we can deal and address the possible, very possible scarcity of this important resource everywhere in the world? How can we deal better with disasters that we are seeing more and more? How can we build more resilience infrastructure towards disaster risk? So how can we mobilize the scientific community, the communities, the governments, in order to have the knowledge we need for sustainable development? But we also recognize, as I mentioned, that we also have to have fundamental science. We cannot have applied science without really invest in the body of fundamental sciences. And we are seeing a decrease in finance on physics, on mathematics, on chemistry, to name a few. And that, of course, is going to be a big challenge for the scientific community in the future if we are not able to attract young people to these fields of science, if we don't have enough research funding for these fields of science, because we are shortening our capacity and our, let's say, basis of fundamental knowledge. But of course, you cannot talk about science for all if you don't talk about a science that is open, that is transparent, that is inclusive, that is participatory. And so part of the decade is also how can we make sure that we put in places policies, mechanisms, incentives to really make a scientific cooperation and the production of scientific knowledge more open, more transparent, more inclusive. And finally, if I can get it moved, and finally, we cannot do all of this if as national, regional, international ecosystems of knowledge production, we don't transform ourselves. So there is a need also to rethink how do we do science, how do we organize, how do we govern our STI ecosystems, be it at national or regional level. Because if we do, business as usual, none of the rest will happen, and definitely we will not have science for all. So it's also up to us, scientific community, to say, yes, what changes do we need to do in order to be really this enabling stakeholder that's going to change the role of science for sustainable development. So what we are doing today, and me in particular, but Monique will also do so, I really want to call all of you. This is our decade. This is our opportunity. Nobody is going to give us more 10 years for science. So this is the time really to get together, to think together, to act together, and to make sure that our dream of fostering science for all, it will be a reality as we finish. And please, if you have initiatives, you have a website where you can register your initiatives. It's a decade for all. So we count on you to be one of our partners in this beautiful 10-year journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. Queremos recordarles que nuestros océanos producen más oxígeno que las selvas que tenemos aquí en nuestro territorio. Así es que la importancia de este diálogo acerca de nuestro territorio y de nuestra capacidad de generar algo que es vital para el ser humano, pues por eso esta isla también debe estar en este diálogo. En ese momento tendremos la intervención de Miss Monique Van Dalen, delegada permanente del Reino de los Países Bajos ante la UNESCO. Welcome, Monique.
Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests. It is an honor and a great honor to address you today at the Latin American and Caribbean Open Science Forum, CILAC, as we launch, as Lydia has said, the International Decade of Science for Sustainable Development. And on a personal note, I'm always very happy to be here in the region because many of you know that the Kingdom of the Netherlands has 3 of its 4 countries in the Caribbean, which are Curaçao, Aruba, and Sint Maarten. And of course, we have a queen who hails from Argentina. So the Kingdom of the Netherlands feels very much part of this region. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really happy to be able to be here. As you all know, the International Decade of Science for Sustainable Development, and Lydia also mentioned that, was proclaimed by the UN General Assembly at a critical time when many sustainable development targets were off track. According to the UNGA resolution, the IDSSD represents a unique opportunity for humanity to leverage the crucial role of science in pursuing sustainable development across its 3 dimensions: social, economic, and environmental. It serves as a key means of implementation and a response to the complex challenges of our times, ensuring a safe and prosperous future for all. Last September, the Pact for the Future was adopted at the Summit for the Future, outlining actionable commitments for all member states to advance science, technology and innovation for global sustainability. This pact, reflecting the pivotal role of science in peace-building, human rights protection and sustainable development, has been recognized at the highest political level. The IDSSD and the Pact for the Future are closely interconnected with complementary goals and action points that reinforce each other. The IDSSD provides a focused framework to drive these global efforts over a 10-year period and offers a mechanism to deepen the commitments made in the Pact for the Future, ensuring continuous engagement from member states, civil society, and scientific communities. Therefore, IDSSD is not merely a declaration. It is a commitment to action, and Lydia also mentioned this, a call for member states, stakeholders, and communities to join forces in harnessing the power of science for transformative change. Excellencies, member states hold the keys to the success of this ambitious initiative. The IDSSD requires collective action and national commitment to bring its objectives to life. By establishing national committees, countries can align their scientific priorities with the decade's goals, mobilize local resources, and engage diverse stakeholders to implement tailored solutions. These committees will also act as vital platforms for fostering inclusivity, ensuring that underrepresented voices, particularly those from the Global South, as well as women and girls and marginalized groups, are integral to the scientific dialogue. Civil societies, including science communities such as research institutes, universities, science funders, science museums, scientific publishers, and NGOs, will play a critical role in implementing the IDSSD. We must also recognize that industry and private sector, which are increasingly driving scientific advancements and developing innovative solutions for sustainable development. Their active engagement in the IDSSD is essential. The IDSSD is not solely about advancing knowledge for sustainable development, it's about fostering a culture of science. It challenges us to rethink how science is produced, shared, and applied, calling for a shift towards open science, transdisciplinary research, and strengthened interface of science policy society. It is about empowering communities with scientific literacy, building resilient innovation systems, and ensuring that every individual has access to the benefits of scientific progress. The CELAC Forum embodies the principles of collaboration, innovation, and inclusivity that lie at the heart of IDSSD. By launching the decade here, in a region renowned for its rich scientific and cultural diversity, we are sending a powerful message. Science is a global endeavor, and its benefits must be shared universally. This launch is not just an event, it is a commitment to fostering a sustainable and inclusive global science ecosystem. As we embark on the decade, I would like to invite you to do two things. First, I invite you to look at your scientific programs and activities to see where they could fit in the IDSSD framework and benefit from cooperation with other partners in other member states. Secondly, I invite you to inform Assistant Director General Lydia Brito about your ideas and proposals to implement the decade and to transform your activities in best practices that can serve as examples. This way, through shared vision and collective action, we can ensure that this decade is remembered as a turning point, where science became truly accessible, inclusive, and transformative for all. Let us rise to the challenge, united in our mission to harness the power of science for sustainable development. Thank you, muchas gracias, Masha danki.
Masha danki. I would like to give you a little note, and maybe you know it, maybe not. San Andres has had the presence of people from the Netherlands for many years here on our archipelago. We have last names that comes from your country. We have had a very close friendship also with the Netherlands in different processes here in the archipelago. So thank you for continuing this. Es muy importante este tipo de transversalidades, este tipo de colaboraciones entre países que vienen desarrollando la ciencia y la tecnología con territorios como el de San Andrés y pues Latinoamérica en general. Gracias a las dos invitadas por habernos dado este pequeño briefing. Les recuerdo que también está habilitado el espacio de refrigerio. Pueden salir en cualquier momento a tomar. Y retomando pues la agenda, quiero decirles a que los que nos estén acompañando también a través de nuestras plataformas virtuales del Ministerio de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación, pues que continuaremos aquí dando paso a la mesa global, en donde estarán presentes ministros sobre el diseño de las ciencias. Para ello también le daremos la bienvenida a nuestras moderadoras de lujo. Estará la doctora Yesenia Olaya, la ministra de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación. También estará presente la directora de la Oficina Regional de Ciencia para América Latina y del Caribe de la UNESCO, Ms. Lidia Brito. Y Monique Van Dalen, delegada permanente del Ministerio de los Países Bajos ante la UNESCO. También daremos la bienvenida a otros participantes de este foro, quienes serán Benjamín Barán, ministro presidente del Consejo Nacional de Ciencia y Tecnología, CONACYT, Eduardo Ortega Barría, secretario nacional de la Secretaría Nacional de Ciencia y Tecnología de Panamá, CENACYT, Violeta Vázquez Rojas, subsecretaria de Ciencia y Humanidades del Gobierno de México, Andrea Brito Latge, viceministra de Políticas y Programas Estratégicos del Ministerio de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación de Brasil. Nos acompañará también Andrea Armas Rodríguez, la directora general de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación del Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología y Medio Ambiente de la República de Cuba. Manuel Marín Catágora, asesor de la Presidencia del Consejo Nacional de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación Tecnológica del CONCITEC de Perú. Paula González Frías, jefa de la División de Políticas Públicas del Ministerio de Ciencia, Tecnología, Conocimiento e Innovación de Chile. Walter Sáenz Rojas, subdirector general tecnológico nacional de INATEC de Nicaragua. Zhang Liping, ministro consejero de la Embajada de China en Colombia, en representación del Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología de Colombia. Y Mr. Valalhuma, ministro de la India en Colombia. Estas son las personas que van a estar participando en este foro.